My Move the Chains audience, how are we doing tonight? It's Frisky Friday. I'm feeling good. Not as good as I was the Browns last night. Dog Pound. The Dog Pound was alive last night. Shout out to Cleveland last night. Shout out to those fans. I'm going to get to them in a second. What a cool vibe that was last night. I just was like in awe. And for a guy that's from the Midwest and lives in the Midwest, I just admire this kind of weather. I just love it. You know, it's a giver seasons kind of take. I love it. But good for the Browns last night. I should have picked them last night, my picks. I went with Pittsburgh. They almost came close to winning Pittsburgh, but just didn't fall through. And they have some weird juju in there, I guess. They just are like awful on Thursday night. I was hearing some stories today that maybe they're too physical. I don't know. Or maybe Tomlin's just overrated. Can we just finally say that? I mean, he's got like the force field of popularity. You can't pick on him. So I'll get to that in a second. I always do my post-game reaction. It's great having you guys in. The New York Giants, Daniel Jones is done. Want to get into that because the Giants just are a mess, and I just can't believe it. And the New York teams are just, God help us. I mean, it's like George Carlin's line of fat people in short pants. God help us. Not making fun of people, but I'm just being real. But I wanted to start off last night. That game was so cool to watch. I've seen about 5, maybe 6 snow games in my lifetime. They're just cool. They just look aesthetically awesome. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is the Eagles or Lions in Philadelphia 2013. With 7 feet of snow. Calvin Johnson, iconic. Like that chunk of snow when he's catching the ball down the post from Matt Stafford. Great game, that game. I think Philly ended up pulling away, as I remember. Another one was Packers in the Giants 2019 snow game, kind of cool. Aaron Rodgers slinging that rock around. Part of his great season 2019 that they had. The resurgence with Matt LaFleur. 2007, another game in Cleveland, was 8-0 Browns over the Bills, and it was just crazy. It was like awesome to watch. So I've seen a lot of great snow games. Obviously, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, those kind of things. But shout out to the Browns fans last night because, like Raider fans, myself included, we've gone through a pile of shit the last 20 years. We just always have something underneath the volcano ready to fucking erupt, and always weird, crazy shit. Okay? But I will say last night to me, did it not? Anybody ever think, like, Jameis Winston's always had talent? And look, is he really goofy and he's kind of fucking weird? Yes. I mean, I never forget. I was thinking about this today as I'm driving to work and I was just kind of out and about. Is Jameis kind of, and I heard this years ago, and maybe, I may be out of line here, but Jameis kind of reminds me of Eli Manning a little bit. Now, minus the leadership. Because Jameis, I'm sure, is a great leader, but just some of the stuff, his goofiness and stuff, it's kind of caught up to him. You can't escape it. But I think they're the same. I think they throw a lot of interceptions. Kind of gunslingery. Winston more so, I think, in that Favre light than Eli. Eli threw picks. But, give or take, I think Jameis has more Favre-like in him than Eli did. But they both went to Southern Powers. They both played, long careers in the NFL. Eli's got 2 Super Bowls. And Eli put up good numbers. I think Jameis has, I looked at stats last night, I think 61.7% completion percentage. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think 189 touchdowns, 102 picks. So he's had a decent career, just not to that level of the number 1 overall pick, obviously, that we saw at Florida State. But I will say last night, he brings juice and energy to that Browns team. And I've been saying this for a while. This Browns team, I was talking to my brother about this last night. We were watching the game in the living room. And they're right there. There's like a few teams in this league. Now, again, I don't love the Browns owner. It's more so owner I don't love in Jimmy Haslam. He's just he's a wild card. He's a weirdo. I call him Jimmy Jumpy because he's always jumpy and he's always got to make a weird, rash decision. Like signing Deshaun Watson. Jackson calls him the Bill Cosby of the NFL. But, besides the point, Brown's got a weird thing to do because if I'm them, I'm keeping Jameis. And I'm trying to win games from here on out. Because, to me, this Browns team, When they get this quarterback right, and again, I think they had it a little bit with Baker, but Baker kind of wore out his welcome, was immature. I get all that. But you still could have had Baker. You still could have had Baker. So I don't know why you didn't, but it is what it is. But Baker fit Cleveland. He fits this kind of like gritty, tough, blue collar kind of thing. And you need that in the AFC North. Now, Cincinnati, you could say that, but I don't see them as a physical football team. The other three, I definitely see. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Baltimore. They are rough, they're rugged, they're physical, they're clever, minus Pittsburgh, I'll get to in a second. I don't think they're clever. But you get my point, like that ethos in the Midwest, Northeast, it's cool. And for people that live on the West Coast, you have to drive. I heard this on one of my pods tonight, John Middlecoff. You have to go to Lake Tahoe, to get like in that 50-degree kind of wearing a jacket. So, very cool last night. The scene of it was great. In Cleveland, man, I know I always talk about the losing team, but I wanted to talk about the winning team last night to change it up a little bit. I think Cleveland is right there. And if they had a quarterback to go toe-to-toe, I think they can go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs, the Buffaloes. I think they could play toe-to-toe with Chargers, Ravens. They've obviously seen it already. So, and Myles Garrett, oh my God, that guy, Cleveland's got dudes everywhere. And listen, Stefanski's a hell of a coach. I mean, to think where the Browns were before they got Stefanski is just remarkable. Hugh Jackson, who I know coached the Raiders, went 8-8 both years. Blues sometimes. They were 7-4 2011, and then the wheels fell out. But I'll say this. Browns fans should be lucky they got him as a coach. Because, I'm reading these stories today. Stefanski's going to get fired. Are you fucking kidding me? You know what I smell? I smell some bullshit. Because that's not going to happen to me. Now, I've seen crazier shit happen. But I don't see them firing Stefanski. He's won Coach of the Year twice. He's got a decent playoff record, I think. He just won a couple playoff games. He beat the Steelers that COVID year, which was weird. And then he beat now, again, he lost this past year. But you know what I mean? He's been there. So, it's almost like the Mike Vrabel thing in Tennessee. Like, you had Ryan Tannehill and you got the number 1 seed and you got the AFC Championship game? Come on. So, if I'm Cleveland, and listen, this GM is sharp too. Andrew Berry's done a great job at putting the talent together in football. And I do think their offensive line is not as dominant as it was last year. Now, I think they miss Billy Callahan, my Uncle Mark's really good buddy from Illinois. They played high school at St. Benedict. Actually, my Uncle Mark blocked for him. So it's kind of a neat little understory. But I will say, though, they still can run the football, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is one of my favorite backs in football. I knew when he came in the league, I said, stud. I watched him that 2018 year and at Mitchell's playing the Raiders, Browns and Raiders. It was a 45-42 seesaw back and forth game. And he broke, I think he had like 3 carries that game, and it felt like the Randy Moss 98 Dallas game. It was 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. So he's a beast. And then they got that other back, I think it's Ford or something like that. He's a really good back. So Cleveland's got talent, man. I think if they get this quarterback thing right. Now, could they take a Cam Ward? I don't know. I wouldn't mind. Quinn Ewers, to me, wouldn't be a bad pick. Because he's got a big enough arm, I think, to sling it in that cold. And I think that's the other thing that we keep missing about. You get to this time of year, you got to have guys with big arms. NFC North had it with Favre, with Rodgers, and then Cutler had it. Now, Cutler was a pain in the ass, but he had a big arm. Stafford, you saw it. Could throw that ball through anything. So I think arm strength, it's not everything for a quarterback, but I think when you play in northern divisions, I think it does matter to a degree. So Cleveland, great win last night. Brown fans, shout out to you. The Dog Pound, Isaac Milson, I'm talking to you, brother, because you're one of my biggest Browns fans and you're one of my buddies in college. So Dog Pound was, Dog Pound was rocking last night. Jameis, before the game, just cracked me up, as he always does. He's kind of goofy. He's kind of out there. But good. So the Pittsburgh Steelers. Holy shit. I got to jump in. Scratch my head a little bit. I'm starting to wonder why this team continues to do what they've done for my lifetime. And listen, they're never going to be embarrassed. They're always going to be good. I'm not sitting here Mike Tomlin's on a bump. I've been on this record for a while. I just think it's time for some new juice. I get he's a great motivator. I get all that shit. But it's time. It's been 18 years. You know, I'll say this. Like, Green Bay had McCarthy for 14. Okay, you won a Super Bowl. Bye. They're like the Eagles. Packers and Eagles kind of remind me of each other in terms of, like, they're really well-run organizations, but they know when the times come. Ain't gone. Eagles, Doug Peterson won a ring. Bye. Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl. You did well. Bye. But Pittsburgh's different. And I just can't wrap my brain around it. And last night, and I really thought they were going to win that game last night. I had a feeling last night. 4 minutes left. Russell's playing he's playing well. But I just sat there with Pittsburgh. Like, they just kind of confused me. Like, why aren't they all the way buttoned up? But then I think there's one thing to this. They're always physical. They're always tough. And I appreciate a lot of that stuff works in football. But they just did some shit last night. The timeouts burning them, and then the keep switching fields, and I get it. But I didn't understand that. What are we doing? I mean, why don't, you put some passes in a package for Justin Fields, okay, 4th and 1, we're going to do a pop pass or something. Get the defense kind of guessing. You're just predictable. Like, we know if I'm a defensive player and Justin Fields comes in, it's a 3rd and 1, I know what he's going to do. He's going to run up the fucking middle. So have some creativity or something. I just didn't get that. And then the end of the game, George Pickens, my God. You know, I got to tell you, and maybe I'm wrong on this, because I was thinking about this tonight. Why is it always with the Steelers? And then when the Packers draft receivers really well. Now, Steelers have got more of the high-end guys, Mike Wallace, Hines Ward, guys that bigger names. But they always produce, them in Green Bay. But it just seems like, to me, Pittsburgh always gets these shithead dumbasses every time in my lifetime. Chase Claypool. Oh, we thought he was going to be the next big thing. Wrong. Dumbass. Saying we need to have music play better at practice. Shut the hell up. I'm a 3rd best receiver in football. Bullshit. You had a decent stretch for a rookie year, and then you just blacked out and went bye-bye. Don't even fucking try. What a pussy. And then, AB. A CTE much. Woo-wee. CTE. Here we go again. And then I got Martavis Bryant. Hella talented. Long. Big arm. Like, everything you want in receiver. What happened? Caught smoking the reefer. The weed. As Stephen A. Smith says. And then with George Pickens last night. I mean, getting into a fight, after the game was over. And I don't know what it is with him. He's just a confusing, perplexing individual. And I was thinking tonight, he's starting to remind me, he's like a taller, skinnier version of DK Metcalf. I'm really starting to see it. They both went to SEC schools. Georgia, Ole Miss. DK, Ole Miss, and Georgia for Pickens. They both went 2nd round because they had 1st round talent, no question. But then did some shit in college. DK with the pissing like a dog, and then Odell Beckham copied that. And then Odell Beckham started it, and then DK. And then Pickens with the water bottle, pretend like he's pissing, with his dick. I get it, you're college, but come on. Now, again, he's a receiver. I don't give a shit, but it does matter. And so I just don't know what the Steelers... this happens all the time. And then, another name. Now, Michigan State's playing tonight. I had that game on in the background. But Plaxico Burress we keep forgetting about, right? He's the same guy. I remember they were trying to slam a ball down and it fumbled, bounced up in the air. I think it was 2000. What a great record of mine, memory-wise. But I just, with Pittsburgh, they're so confusing. I know they're 8-3. I'm not sitting here saying they're a bad football team. They're really good. But you're not winning a Super Bowl. This offense, excuse me, this offense is kicking field goals. You need to score touchdowns. You have personnel. You have players. I mean, Arthur Smith's done a nice job. I've given him credit for that. But you got to do something different. And shout out to Cleveland last night. Pittsburgh's got to get their act together. But this is perplexing to me. And this is why Mike Tomlin, they don't play to the level of their players. They don't They should have whacked the Browns last night. You look at the box score, it's like Cleveland didn't lose by 2 touchdowns. So, I don't know. But Myles Garrett, to me, I always thought this. If Clowney put that same effort and energy that Myles Garrett had, Clowney would be the same level. But Clowney just never took plays off. He was more of a flash player and one of the most overrated players of my lifetime because he had one fucking great hit. That's it. So last thing I want to touch on tonight was Daniel Jones is cut from the Giants. So I have been on the record. I have called Daniel Jones the poor man's Alex Smith, and he is. But I think I learned a lesson tonight with Daniel Jones. And I get that he's a great kid, smart, tough, durable, all that stuff. I understand that. When it comes to scouting, you got to kind of take it with a vacuum. I think you need to look at the performance first, and then the character stuff second, I feel like. Now, obviously, you want to get character shit first, but that kind of bites you in the ass if the play isn't what the character is. Now, Daniel Jones stood for a lot of great things with the Giants organization, was a soldier, all that stuff. And a fun fact for you, the last quarterback, NFC quarterback that beat Lamar Jackson was Daniel Jones. So, fun fact today, trivia. So, again, was it all this his fault? No. He should have never been picked the 6th overall pick. This was not his fault. David Gettleman, as I called Gettle dumbass, didn't know what he was doing. And it's just a shame because there was moments with Daniel Jones where he showed you flashes, but it was false hope. And it's a shame, but the Giants move on. Again, I don't know why they're playing DeVito. Like, I get the Sopranos. I get it. I understand it. But I just don't get it. I don't understand it. Daboll's a really good coach. I think they keep Brian Daboll, from what I've been told. This organization needs a cleanser. They're not what they used to be. And it's just a shame that the 2 biggest markets in football, New York and Chicago, are sucking. I mean, they are trash. I mean, the Jets are just, God help us, circus galore. And the Giants just... Now listen, if that job were to be open, I would honestly think about taking it because you have good stability. Now, again, I'm just throwing it out with the talent. You got to start back. You got a pretty good receiver in Neighbors. You have Dexter Lawrence on defense. You got a pretty good defensive front. There's elements of Giants I like, but you got to get this quarterback right and you got to get the O-line right. So, New York is just a mess right now. So, that's all I wanted to talk about here tonight. Hope you guys are doing well on this Frisky Friday. Stay tuned for more videos throughout the weekend. Great college football weekend. Stay tuned throughout the weekend. I'll be posting more videos. Hit the like, subscribe, share button, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.